All right, Raymond, why
Yeah,
don't we show what we have here today?
the new.
This is the new
V8.
Blade 98 V8. I've already tried it. I have the New York version, the US Open version. But Raymond,
Yeah.
you switched from the Pure Strike
Strike,
to the V8. So why don't you give us your thoughts on that?
I thought the new Blade V8 had like a lot more feel, and it felt as stiff as the Pure Strike, but like it had more feel, as you know, like yeah, and also I felt this one was more maneuverable. Like I guess they lowered the swing weight. I'm guessing. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanted to say how you thought it looked.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the looks.
Dude, so I don't know where the colors came from, but it just looks weird. Like the green and the brown look weird. So what's funny is the green reminds me of Shrek, and then the brown reminds me of him in the swamp.
Okay.
Don't question it,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
go with it.
That's true. But at least you can see it changes colors.
Hmm.
It's like got this weird, well, not weird. I mean, it's a cool concept actually. It looks better in person, I think, than it does like in the promos and stuff. Like if you look at it in the sun, yeah, but I don't like this shade of green. I like the concept, and the metallic actually kind of works. But I mean, I think I prefer the matte. I think I prefer.
Yeah, the New York looks
This-
pretty good.
But the concept of this is really nice. The racket looks really sleek, at least, yeah. But the swamp green isn't really doing it for me right now. Right?
Dude, Shrek. It's Shrek.
I mean, it's a nice racket overall, I think.
Dude, it's a Shrek racket.
Yeah,
You gotta
it's a
trust
Shrek
it.
racket. All right, so I'm gonna hit with the Blade 98 V8 now. Just gonna hit some ground strokes first, see how they feel.
What's up, everybody? So finally I've come out with the Blade 98 V8 review. This is the 16:19 version of the V8, and I'm going to be talking a lot about how it compares to the V7, because I think a lot of people want to know what the difference is between the older version and the newer version. So I'm still going to be talking about what I think of the racket as a whole and what kind of playstyle I think fits with the racket as well, though. In terms of specs, this racket has the exact same weight and balance as its predecessor, the V7. The weight is 10.8 ounces and the balance is 7 points headlight. That being said, there are still other differences in the racket, which the most notable to me are how the frame feels and the swing weight of the racket, which I will talk about later. Okay, so before I get started about talking about the racket, I know people are going to ask what setup I use, and I use the Solinco Confidential at 16L, so 16 light, and I string it at 51 on the mains and 51 on the crosses. So I'm going to start off by saying that generally I really like this racket. I think it follows along what the V7 was trying to accomplish very well. I think it's a racket for all-around players with a slightly more aggressive playstyle. Don't want to be grinding too much with this racket, although you can definitely do so, but there are just better rackets out there for grinding. One change that I'm pleasantly surprised about is that they made the frame feel a lot more solid. The frame just feels more dense than the V7 in general, so when I hit the ball with this racket, the contact just feels more solid. It feels like the racket is really going through the ball a little bit more. Now I will say that I think because of this, it's slightly harder to create shape on the ball because the racket stays on its path forward a lot more than the V7 does. So I felt like it was a lot easier on the V7 to create spins and shape on the ball, even though it wasn't as solid. That's not to say that the V8's not good at creating shape though. As I got used to the racket, I could definitely see myself hitting heavy top spins and slices just as well as I could with the V7. It just took a little bit adjusting, and I still had that nice solid feel of the racket going all the way through my swing. But in terms of touch, I think the V7 gave a little bit more feedback and it felt more stiff, so you could really feel the contact a little bit more. The Blade 98 V8 definitely provides more power than the V7 does. Every shot I hit, I felt was deeper than I expected, especially compared to when I was hitting with the V7, and I think the ball does drive through the court more. When I try to drive shots with the V8, like I said earlier, the racket will carry through the ball really well, whereas even though the V7 did hit through the ball well, it didn't feel as solid. Now, I haven't been able to serve very much recently, especially because my shoulder's been killing me from playing too much badminton, but the feeling I have on the serve is that on my first serve it does give a lot of power, and I can really use the racket itself to just go straight through the ball without much effort, and the ball pops off the racket. But I found it actually harder to hit kick serves and quality second serves compared to the V7 at least. But I think that might just be because my shoulder hasn't been functional lately. I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually. So you can see here I'm hitting returns. I really like this racket on the return because of how solid the frame feels. Even on a couple shots where I might have hit a little bit off center or late, as long as my swing is compact and I focused on contacting out in front, the ball just flew. Like, I feel like I can, if I play an aggressive game, I can hit a lot of return, not winners, but a lot of aggressive returns on serves that I get to contact well and put my opponent more on the defensive when they're serving. So you guys aren't going to see any clips of me hitting volleys or overheads, but I really do like this racket when it comes to net play, for the same reason that I like this racket in the first place. The volleys feel really solid. I can just place my racket there, and as someone who really likes to be at the net, being able to stick a volley with that kind of feeling is really nice. Now let's talk about what play style I think this racket suits the most. I think if you're slightly more on the aggressive end of the spectrum, not the end, but if you lean towards aggressive in your game and you like making your way towards the net to finish points as an option, this racket will suit you really well. Because when you're hitting ground strokes with this, you want to hit through the court more. You don't want to give up too much space and stand really far back hitting high, spinny, loopy, grindy shots, because I just think they're much better rackets if that's what you're trying to do. So with this racket, you want to play a little bit more on the aggressive side. Even when you're slicing, you want to use the slice to get ahead in the point. So players that like to do that and make their way forward, not just the slice, but generally with ground strokes as well, hit slightly more aggressive ground strokes and make their way forward to finish the point. Those are the players that are going to benefit the most from this racket, in my opinion. In terms of what level of player should be using this racket, I would not recommend this racket for more casual players for several reasons. The sweet spot is smaller than some other rackets that you could get, and it does send the ball very far. So without a good stroke and decent control, you're either going to find yourself whacking the ball way far out, or you're going to feel that you cannot hit the contact point very well. So for things like that, or I recommend rackets like the Clash or like 100 head size racket with a bigger sweet spot and that feel more comfortable when you do not hit the sweet spot all the time. But that being said, if you are a more casual player and you want to try this racket out anyway, feel free, right? It's just my opinion and you might like it, who knows. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that analysis. If you didn't, that's okay. At least you got to watch some tennis. And if you didn't enjoy the tennis, well, sorry, that's all I got for you. So yeah, in general, I like the racket. It feels good. It's definitely an upgrade from the V7. It does different things. I think it's a more aggressive version of the racket. But yeah, that's my take on it. I hesitate to buy more though because that swamp green color, I'm not a big fan of that. I really like the metallic concept, and I think it'd be really cool with some other colors, but they missed the mark on that color. So I don't know. I do have the new VCore Pro 97H, which I've been playing with for the last week, and that racket's really nice. So I might post some clips of me playing, and I might post an analysis of that racket as well. Don't forget, all of these things, they're all my opinion, and it can differ from person to person. So if I say something about a racket and you don't agree, that's okay. We're both probably right because it's how we view the racket. Anyway, I hope you guys have been doing well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. I try to pay attention to every comment. But again, I can't make a video about every single thing I see in the comments, right? And I've been been crazy in my head lately, doing stuff and figuring out adulting, stuff that we all don't like to do. But life goes on and we'll all figure out eventually. So anyways, hope you guys are doing well and have a good day as always. Peace out.